It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Cassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gate.
It is game day, and Sidney Crosby is in town. What's going on, everybody? Two Guys and a Goalie, part of the Nielsen Media CoolBet Network, always brought to you by CoolBet. Sign up for an account today. Use the code 2Guys. You want to bet on that Oilers-Penguins game tonight, you certainly can. And look at this, the fancy sweater boys. Different types of sweaters. My hoodie is the usual. I mean, there's nothing out of sorts there. I'm telling you, I'm trying to decide which look I like better, and shit, I'm torn, man. You guys both look great. God.
Let's fire up the poll. Maybe we'll have to do something here. We'll, it is sweater weather. It is sweater weather now.
It is sweater weather.
And I'm cheap, so it's like 4 degrees in my house. I'm not turning on that heat till November.
You're my dad when I go home. We have a massive argument every time I go home. I'm like, Dad, you got to set it 14 and a half. He goes, put on another blanket. I'm like, you're ridiculous. God, that's the worst. And Cass, you're in a nice little work sweater, I see.
Yeah, I'm in a work sweater too. It was a little chilly, so I was like, I'm going to put on a sweater today. So I wore a sweater.
Sweater weather is here, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the sweater weather though. I love breaking out the repertoire of sweaters that I do own, and they're just cozy. They're great.
You know, every year it gets to winter, and I go, you know what? I'm going to buy like a couple nice dress sweaters. Like I can wear to a game or something. If I'm going to call a Golden Bears game, you know, wear it for a dinner on the road with the CFL crew or something. And I buy them, and I swear to God, I've got 4 hanging in my closet with the tags still on them. I buy them, and I never wear them. I get home, and I'll be like, hey, Tam, check this sweater out. Like, can you believe I'm going to wear this? And she's like, you're not going to wear this. There's no chance you're going to wear this. And I don't. I just sit upstairs. It's ridiculous. Maybe I'll pull one out on Thursday or something. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But, yeah, it is starting to – but this is Edmonton hockey weather. That's what we've got right here, guys. And we got the Oilers and the Penguins tonight. Let's just dive into where they're at. 2-3. If they lose tonight, it's 2-4 on this 6-game homestand to start the season. Not the end of the world. Not ideal either. They're going to roll back that same top 9, basically the same lineup tonight as they did against St. Louis. Dylan Holloway skated today, but will not be available to play tonight. So you'll see 11-7 look. Cass, what do you think coming out of that game against the Blues, heading into a game against Pittsburgh here? Where are they at right now?
Yeah, I mean, I listening to the post-game interviews, I think they're in a decent headspace still. I think the fans are in a worse place than the players are in terms of what they're thinking about and how they're feeling about everything. Because the players look at it, and I think rightfully so, they're looking at that St. Louis game going, St. Louis played a really good game. Is there things we could have done better? Yes. Did we play poorly? No. We gave up 1 goal, shorthanded. And that's all we gave up. We had some chances to score. We didn't do it. We couldn't break through. They're a good team. They played a good game. So why do we sweat too much about this? Like, do we want to win these games? Yes, we want to win them. But, actually, let me sum it up this way as I'm thinking. If this was game 70 and the Oilers were 40-30 and they lost this game, would you freak out?
No, I think you'd say, man, they played a really tight game against a really good team.
So why aren't we saying that now? Is fans? Why aren't you saying that now? I mean, because it feels like it's a bigger deal. I think because the start of the season hasn't been perfect for the Oilers. But I mean, that kind of sums up my view on it. In that, we'd be saying that about the game later in the season. So that's how I'm going to feel about the game right now.
Gage, or anything different? I mean, I know, like, we're not sitting here as a podcast panicking. You'll see messages and texts and this and that from people on social media. But overall, I mean, would you like them to be 3-2 right now? Sure. But they're 2-3. It's not the end of the world. And, as far as what we've seen from this team so far, it's the best defensive effort they put out there.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at it from a real pure kind of breaking down the game standpoint, it was a defensive clinic by the St. Louis Blues. They did a lot of things really, really well. And on the Oilers side, they didn't. There wasn't a lot of. They didn't try to do too much or try to force the issue. They were stifled. But from a fan standpoint, probably not the best game to watch. Like, not a lot of excitement and not a lot of things going on. And I think that's where we're so used to some of the razzle dazzle that 97 and 29 do on a regular basis, and just not seeing that. And really, when you looked at the schedule at the beginning of the year in the first 6 games, you would probably, I think even we were saying we would probably maybe like, you'd see the Oilers 4-2 at this point.
Yeah.
Like after this,
Yeah.
I think that's what we kind of, and just to see
Lost
where
to
the
Buffalo
record is
kind
now.
of threw a wrench into that.
But then you look at Buffalo's record; they breezed through the West, like they just destroyed everyone. So
they're going to surprise some teams so hard, Gager.
Well, what was their record at the beginning of last year? It was like 17-1 or something ridiculous like that, right? And then they just fall off the face of the earth. I think Buffalo's that team that people don't prepare for properly, and they take advantage of it. Once the genie's out of the bottle with the Sabres, I think you're going to see a lot closer games. But in saying that, Rasmus Dahlin, I don't know, is he the new Cale Makar this year? We might have to keep our eyes on him.
He looks like the prince that was promised to the Sabres. You know, when they took him first, it's like, this is going to be the guy. It's going to be franchise changing. Hadn't got there yet. Young defenseman, takes time. Cass looks like he's getting there right now, right?
What did you guys have him ranked? Didn't one of you not even have him on your list?
We're going full Svechnikov on me here. Hey, not even the franchise 32. Did he? Was he on? He was on our list, wasn't he?
I think
he was on the list. He was
finished,
just lower down. He was in the 20s.
Yeah, he was like 23rd or something.
I don't think I had him on. I'm the bad person.
Really good.
Yeah.
Really good. He's not going to sustain what he's doing right now, but really good player.
Yeah, no, he looks absolutely incredible. It looks really good. All right, so the Pittsburgh Penguins come rolling in here. The Oilers, like I said, they're going to roll out that same forward group. Cass, I know you probably talked about a little bit after the game over the weekend. I know they didn't score, but do you like the idea of running back the same top 9 again here?
Yeah, because I don't think you need to switch up your top 6, and I really liked what the McLeod, Puljujarvi, Fogle line did. Like they were a really good line. Gager talked about it when he was on air too. Like they were a solid line, good offensive zone time. They were physical. They turned some pucks over. They created some havoc in the offensive zone. So I don't want to break up that group. And if I'm not breaking up that group, that means I really don't mess much with the top 6 either. So I don't foresee many changes. Again, it's not like the group was bad as a whole against St. Louis. They weren't fantastic. They weren't unbelievable, but they did some good things too. Like they played well defensively, the top 9, and the McLeod line, as mentioned, I thought was really good aside from scoring. They didn't try to force too many things when they weren't there against Pitt or against St. Louis. So I'm fine with running the same group against Pitt. I don't see the need to make any big changes.
Kid, you think they got something there with McLeod and Puljujarvi and Fogle? Like, it's not I thought the best thing about it was they didn't really get in much trouble in their own end, right? They didn't bear anything. Nobody bared anything, but you like to see more of that from that line, right?
I thought Fogle's best, maybe it was playing against his former team, but I thought the latter stages of the Carolina game, you saw what we were hoping Fogle was going to become. And then there's a little bit of chemistry with this line. I was sitting there, and it's tough because Gene and I are talking, and we're just sometimes I'm not paying too much attention. But then I noticed, okay, well, who's got him hemmed in there? And then it was McLeod and Yessie and Warren Fogle, and then I think the McDavid line came back, and then the next line that came back after that was the Fogle line again. And then you saw the Draisaitl line go out, and it was sustained pressure for a few minutes in the second period. And I'm like, geez, they're the catalyst of this game. They're starting to get everyone going. So it was cool to see Woodcroft come back to them right away again during a certain point. And yeah, you don't. I don't know. Like we see some third lines in this league, and they're kind of a buzzsaw line. Like they've got great speed. There's some physical play. It's too bad Fogle, when he got that chance, couldn't bury there. That would have really gave the team a boost. But yeah, like Cass said, I don't think you touch anything, just because I think you really have something with. It's weird we're talking about a third line with the Oilers, but yeah. I like the fact that there's something there definitely with those guys.
Cass, what do you need to get from a third line for a third line to be deemed, rather effective? Like what would you describe a pretty good third line? You're muted.
I am muted. The most important thing, and this is the number one quality of a good third line. Most important thing is to be plus 5-on-5. That's it. That's the bottom line. Traditionally, historically, you go back and you'd say you need to have checkers. You need to be able to shut down another team's top line. That's not the way the game's played anymore. That's typically not the case. Usually top lines are going against top lines. Third lines that are successful, on teams that are successful, their third line is a plus line. They score more than they give up. That's it. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, if you could sum up a third line, I'd just say like consistency, right? Especially on the road where
good consistency, Gager. Because if they're bad consistently,
I mean, I guess that's what I meant.
Yeah, if they're consistently shit, that's not a good third line.
But if you can get on the road with your third line and McLeod's, gets his face-off percentage up there, and they can take defensive zone draws and produce something and get momentum that way, that's really key, that you can start on the road with that line. I think so far this looks really good.
All right, before we move on to the Pittsburgh Penguins here, Gager, I do need to get your thoughts on what you were thinking when this happened.
I already had my exam, so I don't know what Stoff was doing. I was like, Jesus, man, he's angry. He was angry at me. I don't know why, but yeah,
that's fantastic.
I don't know. It was perfect timing, Dusty. Another great one with the PVR. As you can see my look there, it wasn't. I was a little bit worried, but
yeah, that's just a great shot of you guys. Like, oh God, I was sitting there getting ready to broadcast that hockey game that afternoon. So I'm doing some prep. I got the other football game on the TV in the hotel room. I got the Oilers game on my iPad. I'm getting some prep, getting ready. And then I start getting these mentions on Twitter. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I click on it. They're like, Dusty, you see Stoff give Gager the finger. I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. So yeah, that was that was classic. I loved it. That was funny. You guys are an interesting duo, you and Stoff. I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it. All right, so Sidney Crosby rolls in, having a great start to the year. The Penguins are 4-0-1, on average winning by like 3 goals per game. It's been an excellent start for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Cass, does this usually come down to Malkin and Crosby and Letang staying healthy? Like, if those guys are healthy, the Penguins are always, even at this stage in their mid-30s, a legit cup contender.
Yep, they still got a chance. Window's closing slowly. Like I don't have them. Where would I have them? I'd have to think about this. I wonder. I think I did this before the season. I wonder if this is kind of their last kick at it here, really, because the age
final
will start
window
to show on some of those guys. They are in the tail end of that final window. I don't think they're a team that wins the cup. I don't even know if they're a team that goes deep in the playoffs. But with those guys, if they stay healthy, they still always have a chance. Just the talent that's there, the skill that's still there, the ability to score 5-on-5 offensively is there. So they have a shot. Yes. Do I think they're going to do it? No, but still a really good team.
I think they'll get to the conference finals, and it all depends on if Jari's healthy and the big three stay healthy. I just, if Trouba doesn't concuss Sidney, I think they go through against the Rangers last year, right? So, and I just, with the way that they stuck together, they all signed again and stayed, and you see the big three again. I like their chances. I don't know. I would not. How do you count out Sidney Crosby? You just can't.
All right, let's ask this question. I threw it out on my show this morning, and lots of good responses. If Sidney Crosby's career ended today, and he's still probably got a good 3, 4, 5 years, I would think, maybe another cup run in there somewhere along the way. I don't know if he adds another Art Ross or anything like that between now and then, but if it ended today, where would you put Sidney Crosby on the list of all-time greats? Cass, how high up on that list is he for you?
That's a tough one. He's got to be. He's probably in my top 10 towards the bottom part of the top 10.
Okay, so like 7, 8 right now, type of thing.
7, 8-ish in that range. I think that's most likely where he would slide in. I would have to think a long time about this. Like, it would take some soul searching to decide. I don't think that's an easy one to pick exactly, because even you look from a Lockout standpoint, he came in for thirds. Yeah, it's tough. I think he most likely would fall into that 7, 8-ish window.
Yeah, because the consensus top 4: Wayne, Mario, Gordie Howe, Bobby Orr, right? And then a lot of people today text into the Nielsen show and say he's number 5. He's number 5. But also had a lot of people mention Mark Messier, Jaromir Jagr. There's probably a guy like Nick Lidstrom in there. We hadn't talked about, Dominic Hasek or another goalie in the mix as well. When you start mixing in these other positions, I think it makes it a little bit less clear. Gager, where do you come out on Sid? Where would he be? I'd put Ovi close to that 10 range. He's going to be the greatest goal scorer of all time. 9 Rocket Richards, Conn Smythe, Calder, multiple Art Rosses, Ted Lin. I mean, he's won everything you can win as well. Gager, what do you got?
It's so hard because it was so easy for so many years with who was the greatest, I think. And now we're seeing that other generations of generational players come along. I think the highest I could go with him is 5, right? I think that's where it's a battle for 5th for him. But if you look at his whole picture with back-to-back cups, Conn Smythes, all the other accolades, and you look at on the world stage too. Those are 2 gold medals. He had the probably the biggest goal in Canadian Olympic history in Vancouver. So there's a lot of other, not just NHL kind of accolades that he's accomplished in his career. So I wouldn't have a problem putting him at 5.
Sounds like we've got a project for next off season here. It might be time for 2 guys to drop their all-time top 50. That'd be a fun thing. Actually, no, let's remember that. Let's do that next off season. That's a great way to get your way through an off season. That's for sure. Okay, here's a fun question. We see what McDavid's already individual accolades accomplished more than, well, for lack of a better term, like 99% of players who've played in this league.
More than that. Yeah. 99.9%.
Yeah. So what do you like? We were hesitant to put Crosby into that elite 4. Cass, do you think McDavid has what it takes to eventually walk among the all-time greats?
Yes. Yep. I think so. Now I wouldn't have put him. I wouldn't say he's the greatest of all time yet because he hasn't accomplished enough.
Yeah.
I think he's the best player ever. Watching him play, watching old tape, seeing what those other guys are able to do, which is unbelievable. Gretzky was unbelievable. Mario was unbelievable. I think he is the best player ever. I haven't seen people able to do what he is able to do. And I know people will say, and it's true, and I've watched the tape. I've watched those games. I've seen Gretzky do some of the crazy things that he did offensively with the puck and working in his office behind the net, and his vision and the things that he did were just unbelievable. I get that. I think, if you either took McDavid back then or you brought Gretzky now, both in their prime, I think McDavid's a better player. That's...
Yeah, and you laid it out as we talk about the list of all-time greats. He's got to deliver on the greatness that he has, right? Like if you're gonna slide into a list with Mario and Wayne and Bobby Orr and Gordie Howe, you got to deliver multiple Stanley Cups somewhere along the way here. I think Gager, is that an unfair assessment?
No, yeah, you need the big hardware, the individual stuff. At the end of the day, it's great to have, but it doesn't matter in the eyes of a lot of people. I have to disagree with you, Cass. Because I still think that Wayne Gretzky is the greatest player ever, but that the comparison between him and Mario, Mario is the most talented hockey player ever to play. Right? When you saw what Mario did through and those scoring titles, his game was at a level so much higher than everyone else, and that's where to distinguish between the two, I think Mario operated at a way higher level. And what you're saying about McDavid, he is at a level that no one else can can get to, I don't think. So, yeah, I do agree with you that McDavid is the most talented and gifted player to ever play, but Wayne Gretzky is the best player ever to play.
You're right. And I agree with you. I agree with you in that. And that's where I guess the caveat for McDavid is he still has to perform. Like I can't put him there now. I can't, because he has to achieve more in his career. He has to do more in his career. I do think he's the most gifted, most talented ever, best ever in terms of talent level. But you're right. He can't, until he actually does more. You can't put him in front of those guys. You just can't. And I agree. Like, I mean, what's crazy to me when you think about Mario, and we're getting like a summer ahead of ourselves, but this is just sort of a fun discussion, is if Mario didn't have the health problems and the injuries, is what he would have been able to do. Because he to me, he's kind of like a bridge between McDavid and Gretzky stylistically. Like, if we look at their style of play, he kind of is like a halfway point between the way each of them play, where, Gretzky was just not pure setup. He scored a ton of goals too. But he was like the vision player. McDavid's like the high octane speed, explosiveness player. And I think Mario was kind of halfway in between them in terms of style. So anyways, we can talk about that later, but
I want to skip ahead to, the eventual playoff defeat for the Oilers, and everybody's pissed, and we're like, hey,
victory.
We've got our top 50 all-time list, or top 30 or something.
The problem is we got these sweaters on where you want the
well, I was just gonna say, you guys, big old sweater love fest here. Like, I agree with you, Gager. Like, you guys could have at least brought me in the loop on sweater day. Right? Yeah. Just Cass has the pipe going.
Just old tobacco pipes and smoking jackets.
I agree with your take, Gager. Oh, shit. All right. Anyway, fun to watch Crosby McDavid go head to head tonight. Gager, you're not on Sportsnet tonight, are you? Or
no,
national? It's national game. That's probably a national game, right?
Game, so
not there yet.
Yeah.
But you will be one day.
I would get the national game, Dusty.
If you keep letting Stoff finger you, you'll move up the chain at some point.
You know what? The funny thing was Gene asked me, he goes, okay, the dates that are you available? And he said the one date. I go, yeah, I'm good both those dates. And I noticed it's Saturday. And I was like, oh my God, am I on a Saturday? But it was an afternoon game.
Yeah.
So I was like, so I was still kind of on Hockey Night in Canada, but
yeah, the pre-show. That's good enough for us. Yeah, that's awesome. That's good. All right, let's dive into the Vancouver Canucks, because it appears to be a shit show. I know it's early. That's what they got going for them here, right? You got to turn around at some point. But what was it? Shen and JT Miller having a little bit of disagreement going off the ice. Already the players meeting. Bruce Boudreau, if it's possible, looks like he's aged 10 more years in the last 3 weeks. Still a cute little bugger, but my goodness, I feel bad for this guy. You know what he needs? He needs a hug. Somebody needs to give Bruce Boudreau a nice squishy hug. That would be great. I had Craig Button on the show this morning, and Craig basically laid out, look, we know Demko. I said, I know Demko. Gager tells me about him all the time. Good forward group. Their blue line can't cut it. Like, their blue line, Cass, this is something that should have been addressed. It didn't, and now it looks like it's going to cost them their season.
Yeah, it's hurting them pretty bad right now. However, I will say that watching some of the Vancouver Canucks and watching them against Edmonton and more highlights against other teams, but seeing where the breakdowns are happening, this is my impression of the Vancouver Canucks. Is the defense a problem? Yes, the defensive group is a problem. But let me explain why it's a problem. I think it's a problem because of Bruce Boudreau's defensive system.
Ooh.
Now they may struggle in some aspects in different defensive systems, but I think they play a really fast and loose defense. So that group's not made for that, essentially. Not built for that, I don't think, the defense. So they play like sort of man-on-man. I'll say mostly man-on-man. And when you're playing man-on-man in defensive zone, your first guy in, typically your defense, has to be good, because you're turning the puck over and not turning your defensive zone situation into pure chaos. All depends on that first guy being able to engage body contact, being able to shut down a play right away. It doesn't give you layers of support in the defensive zone. I think that is an issue with the Vancouver group. If they moved to a more boring zone system with multiple layers, they would get less offense, but they would give up way less in the defensive zone. So there's some give and take with it, because really in a man-on-man, if you're super aggressive, you have really good defensemen, you have the Chris Pronger that's just going to go in there and shut stuff down. Yeah, you can play that way and you're going to get more offensive opportunity because things just shut down right away, move to offense right away. I don't think the Vancouver Canucks are built that way on the defensive side of the puck. So I think there is some issues there with Bruce Boudreau in his style of coaching. Am I 100% right? Maybe not. Have I watched all of their games? No, but that's my impression from the bits and pieces that I have seen.
Gager, I don't know how much you've watched of them. What do you think? What's the issue there?
I hate to do this, Dusty. I wish you didn't ask me that, but it's my boy, Thatcher Demko.
Has he been that bad? Has he struggled?
No, but he's capable of covering up so many more mistakes for his inadequacies of the defensive core that he should have been able to, I think, in one of these games, just bring it home himself, like we saw with Eric Comrie do against the Oilers the other night. So he's been good, but he hasn't been Demko-like yet in this young season, and I think he's able to cover up a lot of those mistakes that which Cass is doing, and they should have at least one of those wins just because of his play, and he's been, by his standards, I think, just watching him, very pedestrian, and they need him to be their best player. And it's unfortunate because when the goalie, like we saw that years ago here with, I think, Cam Talbot, where he covered up so many mistakes of the Oilers D core that they went into the next year thinking they didn't have to do anything, and realized, well, Talbot wasn't as good as he was the year prior, and you saw what happened. So he's got to be a lot better, I think. And yeah, their D have to be better too, but he has to be the guy that we've seen over the past few years, and the reason why they let Markstrom go, because he's one of the best goalies in the league.
Fascinating to see what happens with the Canucks here if they're able to turn around. I think I just saw Farhan tweet that Quinn Hughes is out week to week. So
that's not good.
That's not good. That's not good right there. We'll see how this start. Hey, maybe Connor Bedard's playing in a Canadian city next year. Wouldn't that be something? You add Connor Bedard into the same bloody division as Connor McDavid? That'd be fun for a while. There's no doubt about that. All right, so just quickly, let's take a quick peek over at CoolBet. CoolBet.com if you want to bet on the Oilers game tonight, a rare Monday night game for the Oilers. They are a minus 122 favorite against the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Penguins right now a road underdog, despite being 4-0-1 on the year. Should note Pittsburgh has played Columbus, Los Angeles. They lost to Montreal in overtime. They beat Tampa and they beat Arizona. That's how they've got to their 4-0-1 on the year. And as far as Connor McDavid numbers go, if you like Connor McDavid to get over 2 assists or over 1.5 assists tonight, plus 144 if you want to sprinkle some money on Connor McDavid to have a big performance against Sidney Crosby. Cass, what do you think happens tonight? What's your prediction for the Oilers in a big spot here against the Pens?
7-1 Oilers.
Even your sweater, it doesn't change your smugness with the 7-1s. Gager, what about you, buddy? Give me a real prediction.
I think it's 4-3 Pens. And then Oilers get out on the road. Get out on the road, sort some stuff out, and couple team meals, get together, discuss
road
the
hockey. Yeah,
and get back to. I mean, I like the fact that they're playing every second game. I think there's going to be some a little bit more routine coming into their game, but yeah, I just think the Pens are coming in hot, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I hope the Oilers win, but I think the Pens got it.
I think there's some value on Pittsburgh as a plus money underdog tonight. I guess we can kind of just leave it at that. You can find those numbers over at CoolBet. Visit them, and if you haven't not yet signed up for an account at CoolBet, use the code 2GUYS, the number 2 and the word guys, and watch for my lock shot play of the day on the CoolBet social medias. I don't know if I'm going to go hockey or football yet tonight, but you'll see that pop up there this afternoon. All right, boys, that's going to do it. You guys stay warm in your sweaters all afternoon, and we'll talk again later in the week, all right?
Perfect.